I'm talking to you from slightly sunny Portland, Oregon on the West Coast, where it's gray for about 6 months of the year. So that's always a challenge. But we are coming into spring. And so I just thought it'd be a great time to talk about how we can manage our seasonal allergies and talk a little bit about seasonal allergies and also those perennial allergies, people who are allergic to dander, et cetera. So I'll go into that in a little while. But Jeanette just told me that I'm leading the mind-body portion too. So I just thought instead of going into our heads right away, we could get into our bodies. And yeah, I just arrived here together. I was also telling Jeanette that every time I come here, I'm always very impressed and moved with the strength of this community and how it's so ongoing. So I'm very honored to be a part of it. So what I'd like to do today, and I think we can do that sitting. But first I'd like to do just some little bit of mindful breathing and just kind of arriving into our bodies, so to speak. So if you could just, wherever you are, just sit. And if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. And if you feel more comfortable with your eyes open, just allow your gaze to just rest, just, your eyes to kind of slightly close and just let your vision, your sight be wherever it is. So just settle back into your body posture, feeling your shoulders softening and shoulder blades just sliding down the back, chest opening. Just allowing yourself to sit in a upright but supported and dignified posture. Feeling your feet on the ground. Your buttocks in the chair. And just allow your mind to enter the room where you are and just to settle in. And just notice the state of your mind right now. Is it a little restless? Is it questioning? Is it bored? Whatever it is, just noticing the state of your mind and just breathing into it, breathing into your body. And allowing your heart to arrive in the room and to settle in. Feeling your breath come and go. The area where your heart is just opening slightly, softening. Any stress or tension that you might be aware of, just noting it, whatever it might be. And just allowing your in-breath to go there, to that place in your body, near your heart, your chest. Just noticing, how's my heart right now? Feeling your feet on the ground, your buttocks in the chair, the softening of your shoulders, and allowing your eyes to settle back and soften as well. Now just allowing your attention to move to your in-breath and your out-breath. Just noticing the temperature of the air as you breathe in And as you breathe out, just as the air enters your nostrils, nothing to do, just to notice the sensation of your body breathing. Sometimes the breath might be long and deeper, and sometimes the breath might be shallow. But if your mind wanders, that's totally normal, natural. Just bring it back to the physical sensation of the in-breath going in through your nostrils and into your body, and the out-breath going out. Just as a point of focus. Point of focus so you can just be here in this moment, just breath to breath. Settling back, settling into your body, settling into your heart. And if you're comfortable on the in-breath, allowing the focus to go a little bit deeper as the breath comes in through your nose and down your throat. Feeling the sensation of the air moving in a little bit deeper into the body, and the breath releasing, just moving out. Putting whatever you don't need, thoughts, pressure, deadlines, things that you must do, nothing to do right now, just allowing that to move out of your body on the out breath. Again, always letting your focus return to your breath. Just if it's harder to get the sensation, the awareness into the whole body, just letting it rest right at the edge of the nostrils. Just the body breathing. And if you're feeling comfortable, you can allow that awareness of your breath to go a little bit deeper as you breathe in through your nostrils and down your throat, into your chest, and into your abdomen. Feeling the whole body breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. And sometimes we breathe in short and sometimes we breathe in long. And just notice that. Breathing in, I breathe in long. Breathing out, I breathe out long. Breathing in, I breathe out short. Breathing out, I breathe out short. And if all this is too much to keep track of, just know, just sit. Feel your body sitting and know that you are sitting. Settling back into your body posture, relaxing your eyes, your shoulders, your throat, your heart, your chest. Your belly. Allowing your legs to be heavy from your hips and all the way down to the soles of your feet, as if you're breathing in through your nose, down, 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 the whole body breathing, whole body sitting, just here, now, nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to fix, just with whatever is happening. And sometimes as we're sitting, sensations can arise, sensations of discomfort or pain or tension. Just allow your breath to go there. Again, just noting it, naming it even, stress, tension, discomfort. And just allow yourself to be with it, to soften with it. And in the last few moments of our sitting together, just go back to the place where we began, which was noting your mind. Just checking in with how your mind is feeling. Just noting its state, open, spacious, busy, restless, whatever it is. Nothing to change, just breathing in, just noting it, allowing it to be. And checking in again with the state of your heart, allowing your chest to open and soften. Just checking in with your heart and your mind, allowing them to come together in your body, just as it is right now. One body, from head to toe, from outside to in, from inside to out. Just breathing with your whole body. And as my teacher says sometimes it's helpful just to sit with a half smile, feeling that in your body. And when you're ready, gently allow your eyes to open. And when they do open, just not looking at anything, just allowing your eyes to see what they see, whatever's in front of you. Slowly letting them open just to that full vision again. Looking out from your breathing body. Just whatever it is, just here right now. So just in a few minutes, I don't know if anyone has any reflections or feedback or questions you might have. You can put them in the chat or okay. Anyone? No? I always find it's good to arrive, because our lives are so busy, or our minds are so busy, and that's a normal thing. I mean, a lot of times when I teach meditation, people will say, oh, I'm not really a good meditator because my mind is so busy. And I just want to assure you that that's very, very normal. And that the practice of meditation is really allowing the practice of focusing, whether it be on the breath or sensation or sound or emotion, whatever it is, we are going to have that busy mind, that monkey mind, as it's called. And it's just a way of allowing ourselves to gain a little perspective on the busyness of the mind, and that it's like clouds in the sky. It's not that it is us. They're just thoughts that pass, sensations that change, sounds that come and go. And so it's a way of practicing so that we're not so entangled or enmeshed with our thoughts, because we are not our thoughts, even though our thoughts can shape us. So, even if you just do it for a couple of minutes at a time, even if you just, close your eyes and breathe into your whole body a few times, even 3 deep breaths can really, really change your state when you're just getting all riled up, which, it's a normal human thing that happens. Okay, one last just call for anyone to ask anything, and then I'll just move on. No? Okay. So as Jeanette said, thank you for that lovely introduction, Jeanette. I practice Chinese medicine. I have been in the field for about 30 years. Some of you have probably seen or met before at one of these talks. And the practice, I'll just tell you a little bit about Chinese medicine. It's the oldest continually practiced medicine in the world. Of course, Ayurvedic medicine is also very ancient medicine. And there are a lot of other ancient medicines that have existed in all cultures, all indigenous cultures, etc. But this one has been written down. The texts did not get destroyed like they did in the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, of their traditional medicine. And it's been codified, and we can access this information now. So Chinese medicine is really based on the observation of nature, meaning that we are a whole body system that lives in relationship to, like in our lives, we live in relationship to each other, in relationship to our environment, wherever we live, whether it be a city or in the countryside, whatever kind of dwelling we live in, whatever kind of work we do, in our families, in our friends, etc., and our activities. So we're always in relationship to that. And obviously, when we feel good, we feel like we're in a state of flow. We have a certain thing of ease. So Chinese medicine, the whole premise is prevention. It's in the first page of the Neijing, which is the classic text. It talks about how people used to live to 100 years old, but now they're dying at 50. This was 2,500 years ago, because they're not managing their stress. Their sleep hygiene is not good. They're not eating balanced in a balanced way. They're not moving. And we know that these are all things that contribute to chronic disease today. And so their teachings of 2,500 years ago can be applied very simply in modern day times. And so Chinese medicine is this big umbrella, and in it you have acupuncture, which I practice, which is the insertion of very fine, thin needles, just like a few of your hairs, along points on your body called meridians or channels, to help the body balance and self-regulate the nervous system, and also is very good for allergies. I'll talk about that in a little while. It's also good for stress, headaches, pain. We know it most in this country for pain issues, but I use it also with people who have chronic disease, who are managing chronic disease, because chronic disease is stressful on the body, and also our relationship to chronic disease is stressful. So we help to regulate the nervous system to help support the immune system function, etc. So in Chinese medicine, you have acupuncture, you have herbal medicine, you have food, which I'm going to talk about. You have qigong or movement therapies, and you have body work. And there's even branches of it where there's shamanism. So that's in more kind of indigenous tribes in China. So it's a very big medicine. So that's what I practice. And mostly I do acupuncture, herbs, and food, and movement, stress management, etc. So, okay. And I encourage you, wherever you are, to seek out an acupuncturist perhaps for any kind of issues you're having, because it's useful. It's not magic, even though it is, kind of, because you can walk in one way and walk out feeling totally different, and nothing has changed in your life. So that's kind of miraculous. But a lot of times with chronic issues, it can take a while. So people sometimes go one time and it goes, well, I'm not fixed. Well, no, because it took a long time to get this issue, to have this problem. So it's going to take a while to unwind it, to change your body terrain, so to speak, so, and your nervous system and your immune system, so that, you know, things can improve. So if you go to an acupuncturist, unless you have a sprained ankle, which will just take a few times, you know, I encourage you to give it a while, you know, at least 4 to 10 treatments to see how it is helping you. Okay, so I want to talk to you about allergies, and I find that I'm going to share my screen here because I made a little PowerPoint. Where is my PowerPoint? That's interesting. Okay, hold on a second. Sorry. Okay, that is really strange. Okay, I'm going to share my. There we go. All right. So I want to just talk to you about the spring season, which always for people brings to them the terrible thing of allergies. So now I can't get my screen view right here. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Hello. Technical difficulties. View. All right. Screen. Slideshow. All right, guys. I don't know why this is not showing my thing here, but slideshow. Play from start. Okay, here we go. Voila. All right. So spring, like I said, Chinese medicine is really about like living in, you know, we want to balance ourselves in relationship to the season. And that's a really key component to health. So why do we want to bring ourselves in harmony with the season? I'll get into allergies in a moment. Well, first to nourish ourselves, you know, like in winter, we're kind of hibernating, we're inward, which is absolutely appropriate. It's cold. We've got to build our own internal heat and stores. We have to keep our fire stoked in our bodies so that we can counter the cold of winter. So we nourish ourselves. We nourish ourselves with food. We nourish ourselves with activity. But when spring comes, we want to be able to kind of be warm enough to kind of be in the chilly spring. And we want to come out so we can be in balance with our external environment. We want to feel, like I said earlier, that sense of flow and ease. You know, spring is a time of, I like this little quote here. These are pictures of trees I took in Brooklyn last spring when I was there visiting my family. I just love this. Such a marvel, the tenacity of the buds to surge with life every spring. think about like our internal buds, there's this new surge of life that we have when spring comes. And I think it's normal that we want to like be more active. We want to greet the lengthening days and warming weather with more exuberance, more light comes in, so that we can kind of let go of winter. And that's really, really important. But here come the allergy part. So the buds come and people's allergies really go crazy. So there are two kinds of allergies that people have. There are seasonal allergies, which is the budding, some people get it in spring, some people get it in summer when the grasses are really dry and all the grass seed pollen is kind of flowing around the air. Some people get it in spring when the buds are just budding, and again, there's pollen in the air. But there are people who have allergies that are all year long. That's pet dander, dust, mites, and any other, food allergies, severe food allergies like to shellfish, strawberries, peanuts, etc. Medication allergies. These are allergies that are not dependent upon the season. And so, why do some people have allergies and others not? Well, from our perspective, from the natural medicine perspective, it has to do on what we call the internal kind of soil or terrain of our bodies. Allergies are an inflammatory response to substances that are not, quote, dangerous, but our bodies recognize as too much, right? So we get itchy eyes, runny nose, some people get headaches, some people get brain fog, etc. And so from our perspective, what we say is, okay, there are these inflammatory responses. So how can we reduce the load on the immune system, on the digestive system, to so that we're not dealing with things internally that maybe cause some reaction. So what do I mean by that? I mean like food sensitivities. Like a lot of people have a sensitivity, meaning they're not going to get hives, they're not going to have an anaphylactic shock, they're not going to, get into a really heavy state, a reactionary state. But when they eat dairy, like dairy's a big one, they may have more phlegm. They may get an upset stomach. A lot of kids who eat a lot of dairy can get chronic ear infections. People can have sensitivities to gluten. It doesn't mean they're celiac. It just means that if they eat enough gluten products, they may, again, have bloating or digestion or GI issues, etc., or joint pains. These are all the things that the body can't metabolize effectively. Now, they're not bad for you. Dairy's not bad for you. Gluten's not bad for you. But everybody's different. So it's really important to know that. Like for me, for instance, I didn't know this, but my mom told me later. When I was a baby, I was allergic to formula and cow's milk. So they gave me soy milk. And this was like I'm old, so it's like a long time ago, right? But, as a kid, I just drank tons of milk and ice cream and tons of cheese and everything. And I had terrible allergies to cats and hay fever, etc. And somehow my mom told me that I had been allergic to dairy when I was a kid. So I thought, okay, let me try it. I'm going to cut it out, which was not easy. It was like horrible. I hated giving all that stuff up. But what happened were my allergies went away. And I thought that was fascinating. And I've seen that with hundreds and hundreds of patients that during allergy season, if they reduce things that can cause irritation in the body and slightly inflammation in the body, that their allergy symptoms start to reduce. And for everybody, it's slightly different. So we got to find out what they are. So what are foods that cause inflammation? Because like, what is inflammation? Inflammation is like an irritation. The body can't absorb it, can't transform, absorb, metabolize, and eliminate something effectively. So in terms of food, like food, I always say to people, food is the easiest thing, because like then you didn't have to take a medication, right? Or have any big procedures. But it's the hardest thing because it's food. And we all have, preferences, and we don't want those to go away. We all have emotional things around food, etc. So it's hard, but if you change something and you feel better, you go, whoa, that was easy. And then what you have then is the capacity to control something. So like I've had numerous patients where we find like one or two things that really aggravate their symptoms, and they give it up and they feel a whole bunch better. Like I had a patient, chronic, horrible migraines, terrible migraines, like in the room, dark room for 3 to 4 days. We figured out that it was chocolate and wine. She gave it up, didn't have any problem, except on February 14th, which of course is Valentine's Day, but also her daughter's birthday. And she just knew she would have chocolate and wine on that day. And then she would be in the room for 3 days. But she had a sense of mastering control, which I think is so important because allergies are just so uncomfortable. I've seen so many people suffer from them. So what are inflammatory foods? If you like spicy food all the time, that can be a little bit irritating and inflammatory. Again, like dairy is a big one for people. Wheat, gluten is a big one for people. Eggs can be a big one for people. Soy, chocolate, alcohol. These are the things that I see most of that people are sensitive to. Okay. So there we go with that. This is just like showing you the seasonal cycle, and like every season has a movement. You can see at the bottom, winter's like going in. You want to store, like bears, you want to store, you want to have those stores so when you come out in spring, you have fuel and you have energy that you can then use to come out into spring. Like if you were cold and didn't have a lot of internal stores in the winter, it's harder to have that force to come out and up, just like the plants come up and out from the dirt, And then summer, it's very exuberant, and autumn, we start to enter and, start to descend. I don't want to get into all the Chinese medicine aspects here, but I just want to show you every season has a movement, and as human beings, we want to participate in that. So the qi of something, we talk about qi in Chinese medicine, which is like the potential for energy. It's, or we think of it in the West as energy itself. So we want to participate in the season. So there are activities that help us do that more. So we can now go to bed a little bit later because there's more light. We can get up a little bit earlier because there's more light. That's a natural rhythm with the season. The poetic thing in Chinese medicine is, roam through the gardens and the dew of the forest. But yeah, let's get outside and just, let ourselves take in the beauty of nature, being outside more, even if we just get out for 5-10 minutes, even if you just sit on your front porch, bundled up, and just opening ourselves up. I mean, this is a very hard time in the world for so many people. And there's we don't get a lot of input of joy, but there is still a lot of human joy. And we have to connect that because that keeps us going. And there's a lot of sorrow. So, having an open heart means we feel all that. But, just breathing into that, opening to people. And also we want to be mindful of stress and frustration, and how can we manage that? As I said earlier, in Chinese medicine, prevention is super important, and managing our stress is a huge part of that. So what helps you? Movement is really good. If you're feeling all bottled up with energy, like walking vigorously. If you have a stationary bike, getting on a stationary bike. If you don't have anything, I know cleaning vigorously sometimes can do it. Dancing, putting on music, listening to music that opens you and makes you feel better. Little meditation. You just want to kind of, stress creates a lot of tension, And, too much tension can explode or it can implode, right? So explode, we can feel angry, we can be more volatile. Implode, we can get depressed. So when your body starts to feel that tension and you're starting to feel that frustration, that's like a little signal like, I better start moving or doing something just to help it keep flowing, because the Chinese medicine thing for this season is flow. They always say in Chinese medicine, moderate sexual activity, not too little, not too much. Qigong, which I didn't do today, but I know you've done it before. If you've done any kind of tapping stuff, this can kind of really just wake up your body and make you feel, more vitalized. This is my Qigong teacher, and if you've done Qigong, it's really great for just feeling all this kind of qi movement in the body and building your own internal circulation and energy. So I just encourage you, if you have a Qigong practice or there are some Qigong videos online, etc., that's a really great thing to practice. So in Chinese medicine food, we talk about different foods to eat. So seasonally, sweet foods, and I'm not talking about donuts, I'm talking about the new sweet foods that come out, like baby carrots and whole grains and beans and legumes and peas. Early spring vegetable is really good. If you eat meat, that has a sweetness to it. I always say, like, if you eat meat, a little meat, a lot of vegetables is just fantastic. Having herbs and spices in your kitchen can be really useful. I'll talk about some of those later. Having like chives and scallions and onion and ginger and garlic, those things can also, they have a kind of pungent flavor and they can help break up stagnation in the body, as well as kitchen spices and herbs. Plus they make your food taste really good. So I really encourage that. Bitter, which is just kind of underappreciated in our culture, but many cultures have traditions of bitter greens. If you have a garden and you see, like, if you grew like kale or collards or bok choy, whatever, and you see now in spring, there's like growth with little, like you can see little baby like broccoli on the left side. Those are called rob, and like you have collard rob and kale rob and broccoli rob, and these are kind of bitter, but anything dark green and bitter is very good because it clears out excess in the body. It's very cleansing, it's very cooling. On the right side, you have bitter green, bitter gourd, which is traditional in Asia, but also in the African diaspora and the Caribbean. It's most bitter vegetable you've ever had. I love it, but some people it's acquired taste. Dandelion greens, if you have a yard where you don't have any pesticide use, you pick those dandelion greens, cook them up and boil them up in some water and garlic and oil. They're delicious. So spring, you think, oh yeah, I want to have more salad and stuff, but cold and raw foods are hard for a lot of us to digest. Cold foods from the fridge, cold is not the way to go in spring because the weather is very fickle. Spring can really hang us up, as one of the famous jazz standards said. So, you want to, cold requires a lot of energy from the body to kind of warm it up. It needs to be 100 degrees foods so that our body can metabolize it. So you're spending a lot of energy to warm up cold food. So if you get food from the fridge, heat it up. Just put it on the stove for a minute. Just get it warm. Much better. Again, this fatty foods, greasy foods, fried foods, just hard for the liver, hard for the body to digest. And that too creates stagnation, inflammation, which can make allergies worse. Like I said earlier, spicy foods, and make sure that you're not getting yourself sweaty and then exposed to the cold air. Those old adage, about catching a draft, it's real. You can get sick like a cold pretty quick. Okay, so on the left here, you have some nettles, stinging nettles, which I actually like to go pick in springtime with my daughter, but she's living in Washington, D.C. right now, so we haven't picked them in a while. These are the nettles dried, and Stinging nettles you have to actually pick with your hands in a glove because they sting. But they're picked all over the world. When I lived in Italy, we used to go pick them in springtime. Oh, all over Europe. They grow in fields, and they are an incredible herb. They're kind of grassy in their flavor. You can get them in tea. I'll write down, like, I know Traditional Medicinals makes a tea, nettles tea. Nettles tea has been used for eons to help with the symptoms of allergies. It's a natural antihistamine herb. It's very good for the blood, has iron. It's also a blood builder, blood cleanser, as we talk about. What does that mean? I mean, I think it helps neutralize any inflammatory particles, perhaps. Misha would probably have something to say about this, but it is a very well-known antihistamine herb. So that's one of my favorite herbs for people with allergies. And I really encourage you to have a cup or two a day of it. You can also use the dried nettles, which I did last week, and I made I made a risotto. But you can put them, you can use them, like, you can put them in soups. Like the fresh nettles, which of course are stinging, you use with tongs, you put them in water, you boil them up, they're like spinach. They are so delicious. They're really good. So sometimes you can find them at farmer's market, but usually you have to kind of find them in somebody's yard or field or something like that. But you can get them dried in teas. That's one thing. I encourage you, spring greens. Again, greens are very cleansing. They're filled with chlorophyll, very nourishing to the body. So anything that's green is something you want to be eating. Sea vegetables, I really encourage people to have some sea vegetables. All cultures that live by the sea have eaten them, from France to Mexico, Asia, Ireland. I'm not sure where else, but everywhere. And they're rich in minerals, very nourishing again to the body, kind of helping to bring down inflammatory response. Mint is another one. This I just picked because it's kind of sprouting in my garden. If you have a windowsill or a window box or a yard, you plant some mint. Don't plant it in the ground because it will spread everywhere. But you can plant it in a pot and it grows so easily. It comes back year after year after year. And then you can dry it, because I unfortunately planted it in my garden, so it's spread everywhere. And then you have lovely tea. In Chinese medicine, we use mint. It's good for the digestion. It's refreshing, kind of lifts your spirits a little bit. It gets rid of that kind of hot. Chinese medicine, we talk about like temperature in the body. It gets rid of a lot of heat in the body, which any kind of inflammation can generate heat. So I like to mix the mint with the nettles in a tea. You can also use chamomile or Chinese chrysanthemum, which is a little harder to get, but chamomile, you can mix those together. Lemon balm, which is a nervine, it kind of looks like mint. It has a nice kind of lemony smell that's very good, again, for calming down the nervous system. And you can see just all the herbs, beautiful herbs that you can use that are rich in antioxidants and polyphenols. Green tea is a good tea to have in spring with like jasmine or rose or just regular green tea. It's wonderful to have as well. And then these are just some dried rose petals. Rose is a really nice herb to use. Again, it's very calming for the whole system, for the liver, etc. But in springtime, easy to digest, light brothy soups. That you can put a bunch of greens in. You can put fish in there. You can put in some extra beans. So if you have leftovers, you can kind of mix them and make nice. Maybe you have a vegetable stock or chicken stock, and then you just add some vegetables or beans or fish or meat, whatever in there. Maybe some fresh parsley, etc. Again, making the body, with allergies, you want to really reduce your reactive response. You want to make it easy. You want to make it easy to eat, digest, transform, and absorb nourishment, and then eliminate what you don't need. Talked about sea vegetables. In this period, we have rhubarb, which is a vegetable, surprisingly enough. And of course, very bitter. You never eat the greens of rhubarb, you only eat the stalk. But it's beautiful, cooked with some apple juice, or put a little honey in there. Well, sometimes you need a lot of honey. You can make like a compote with it. When the strawberries come, which probably won't be for another month or two, that's a really nice, also good food to have. Again, we want to regulate our internal heat so that we're not in this kind of reactive phase, but we want to stay warm enough to interact with the changing climate of the season. Okay, let's see what else I got here. Oh, this is something I like. Radishes, they're kind of spicy. They're really good. Like if you eat meat, like let's say you make some, and it's coming into that season, Easter and Passover, etc. Ribs or lamb or beef or brisket or something like that. Fresh radish, really good. It helps to kind of counter the fat of the meat, makes it more digestible. But a really interesting thing to do is like to steam some radishes and steam cauliflower, and then take the radish tops, which most people just throw away, but wash them off, chop them up, and you can throw a little sauerkraut juice in there and some salt, and they become like a little kind of lightly fermented green that you mix in with the kind of sweet and neutral flavor of the radish and the cauliflower. And that's what I did there. And so it's kind of a nice spring light dish to have. It's refreshing, Again, I just want to talk about little health challenges during the spring season. Allergies, big deal. We are, in a way, more susceptible to colds and viruses because we may kind of overdo it, or we may like sweat and then be outside and then we get a draft and our body can't fight it back. So it's not the way we get colds and viruses in the winter where we're stuck indoors all the time and the air is dry. It's more that we're, as my grandmother would say, don't be a big shot, put your jacket on and zip it up, because the weather is changeable. Sometimes, our food and our digestive system kind of shifts a little bit. So, you just want to be aware you may need to change up how you're cooking and what foods agree with you, because it's normal as the climate changes. Sometimes we get more stiff because where I live, it's pretty damp. So when it's damp and cold, some people are prone to more stiffness. Also, the changing season makes us feel different and our emotions may come more to the surface. But also that's okay. I mean, it's just allowing ourselves to notice that and care for ourselves. And also our sleep changes too. So we want to make sure that we're paying attention to sleep, because sleep is like really important for our immunity. It's important for our well-being. It's important if you have any kind of chronic health issue. Rest is really, really important. So trying to work with how you sleep and your sleep hygiene. These were just some companies are good for, you can get herbs in bulk. Like if you live somewhere and there's a little herb shop, or maybe in your supermarket, they have like a little area where you can have bulk herbs and spices. You can kind of check out and see what they got. Camo Herbs is a Chinese herbal pharmacy in New York City. I really like chrysanthemum, Chinese chrysanthemum. It's really good for itchy eyes, runny nose when you've got those seasonal allergies. And then I said traditional medicinal teas. You can get it online too. All the stuff you can get online. For nettles tea, I really encourage you to try out the nettles tea. And then just, it's spring, like things are new, like the wind's blowing. Where do I want to go? We want to engage in the outdoors more. I think we, just allow ourselves to relax and be flexible and look at things a new way, perhaps. Talked about the weather earlier, trying not to eat foods that are really hard on your system and hard to digest, tending to yourself and caring for yourself. Lighter and quicker cooking methods, and then just moving our energy. Some places, there are places where you can get like reflexology, pretty inexpensive. Getting a little massage, or if you have a massage tool, or just tapping your body and moving your energy, or yoga, and a lot of these things you can do online, besides go to places, I hope, where you live. And I, again, just encourage you to try acupuncture. So, if you want to that's my little talk on allergies in the spring season in Chinese medicine for you. So I hope that was helpful, and I'd love to take some questions. And this is just me. I'm super happy to hear from you if you want to be in touch. I do some consultations online. I teach online. I have a newsletter that comes out every quarter, usually. Instagram, I'm writing a blog post for a Chinese medicine clinic here in Oregon, and every month I write something and include a recipe from my book. So if you want to, that always pops up on Instagram. And then this is my book. And it's about Chinese medicine, but it's also about, like, oh gosh, what do I do? How do I shop? How do I create a pantry? And also it's got like 175 recipes, all organized by the season, with culinary and health tips. So you can get that on Amazon or at your local independent bookshop as well. And all right, I would love to talk to you and hear your questions. So feel free, you can put it in the chat, or if you want.
You can, we have a small group, so you can just unmute yourself if you have any questions.
That sounds good. Questions?
Yeah. Hi, Ellen. This is Elva. I just wanted to ask, I kind of know the answer, but just wanted to hear from your perspective regarding the older you get, do you find that some people get more sensitive to certain foods like wheat and gluten and eggs? Because, I know that when I was younger, I could eat that stuff, but now I seem to be getting more congested, I guess the word, when I eat these things.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, absolutely. We change, and our internal chemistry changes, our hormones change. And also we've lived a life. So perhaps, it's like repetitive syndrome, or carpal tunnel, if we've eaten some foods that perhaps, can be irritating or difficult to digest. But when we were younger and we had more vigor, and what we say in Chinese medicine, more digestive fire, more HCl, hydrochloric acid, in our stomach, we could break those things down. But, we are kind of like a car. We have parts and they change, and they need some help sometimes. So if you're noticing that, pay attention to it, and then ease up on it. Eat less of it. If you eat it, like if you eat a certain food, like wheat's a really good example. Like I have a sensitivity to wheat. To gluten. I didn't really realize it. So I gave it up, and a lot of things, my joint issues got a lot better. I didn't have stomach pain, which I used to get kind of quite a bit. And now every once in a while I can have some gluten and it doesn't bother me. But if I were to eat it a lot, it would. So if you've changed something and you feel better, pay attention. And then if you eat that thing again and you feel worse, you can go, oh, okay, that's not for me. So yes, we change, our needs change, our digestive systems change, and we need to pay attention to it and see how we can adjust it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Any specific allergy questions? We don't have a big allergy group here. Well, if you do have allergies, there's also I know Misha sometimes talks about supplements that are useful. I like the supplement called Allergy. It's made by, it's either Vital Nutrients or Pure Encapsulations. And it has quercetin in it, which is a natural, which is a bioflavonoid. Bioflavonoids are found in berries, most notably in raspberry leaves. And quercetin is a natural antihistamine, much like I talked about nettles. And so I know that some of my patients who have seasonal allergies, as they adjust their diet as best they can, also Allergy can be quite useful.
Well, it looks like I'll be looking up Allergy so I can include a link to that.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. Allergy is actually quite good. Let me just see if I can find it as well.
Oh, Ellen, can you send me a PDF of your PowerPoint?
Sure.
Okay, great, because we like to share those when we can with everyone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Anybody have questions? Chinese medicine, acupuncture, things you always wanted to ask but didn't have someone to ask of?
I do appreciate the fact that you did bring up that allergies and not just also internally what we eat, but also, with the pollen and the pet dander and the seasonal changes, that too can, bring up these allergies that we have, as well as like, I noticed too, not only with foods, but with products, there's certain things like I used to put on my skin, but now I get really, like rashes with certain products. So now I'm very cognitive about the things I put on my skin.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge issue. Our skin is our largest organ in the body, and it's the largest excretory organ as well. But it's the largest organ and it absorbs everything. We are exposed to over like 83,000 toxins a week. And just living, but the cosmetic and skincare industry has a huge problem with all of their additives. So like if you need a moisturizer on your skin, coconut oil is just simple, and it's very hydrating and very good for the skin. And the face, that's a different story. But yeah, you do want to pay attention to products, because there's a lot of, even in detergents with scents, a lot of things can be irritating. And again, I think you brought up an important point, Elva, that you just want to pay attention. And if your body's responding, if you want to kind of check out, like if you're having skin rashes, okay, is it a product you're using? Are you using scented, whatchamacallit, detergent, or fabric softener? These kinds of things really can have a big impact on us as well.
We need to listen to our bodies, folks.
Absolutely.
Ellen, there's a question in the chat about lead and herbs.
Yes, that's a really good question from Linda. Thank you. I mean, I like mountain rose herbs because they are pretty clean. You do want to watch out for your sources. Like even Chinese herbs, I'm leery of a lot from China, because the pollution in China in the ground, in the water, is so intense, so strong. So like camo herbs, I know they don't have organic, but they test and make sure. So you do want to find a reputable herbal company. If they say organic, then that's as good as you're going to get, I think. So yeah. Again, it's just a huge issue, because the pollutants in the environment are everywhere. So we just have to do the best we can. And again, when that comes to foods and organic foods, you don't have to buy organic for everything, but there are certain, looking in my book, because I know I have a whole list here.
I can put a list of the, what is it, the EW?
Yes, the environmental,
Yeah, I'll put a link to that in the email too.
yeah, thank you, because,
You're welcome.
you
All
know,
right, folks.
yeah, so that's it.
Let's all thank Ellen for coming. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Ellen. It's
And-
always a joy. And